Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the Looks Like On podcast. In this episode, my bro Rohit is back, and we discussed the differences and similarities between these two famous spiritual teachers, J. Krishnamurti and Osho. If you're watching the video of this episode, you'll see that this is the first time I've used AI to create a thumbnail for an episode. I think it's pretty good, except for my face looks like an elderly person, and Rohit looks young and handsome. My AI has betrayed me. In your opinion, who do you connect most with, J. Krishnamurti or Osho? I asked AI to tell me what kinds of followers J. Krishnamurti attracts versus who Osho attracts. And it said this: J. Krishnamurti attracts skeptics and sharp thinkers, people allergic to gurus, systems, and rituals, those who love radical honesty and self-inquiry, lone wolves who don't want spiritual babysitters, minds that prefer clarity over comfort. And the people that Osho attracts, it said this: sensual, emotional, expressive people, those drawn to ecstasy, love, and celebration, seekers who want methods, community, and catharsis, rebels who still enjoy a charismatic guide, people healing repression through intensity. And at the end it says, bottom line, Krishnamurti deconstructs the mind, while Osho reconditions the nervous system. One cuts, one intoxicates. Both wake different sleepers. Thanks, AI. I hope you enjoyed this talk, and if you have any suggestions for comparing any two different spiritual teachers in the future, please feel free to share your thoughts. Thanks.
So maybe we should first state clearly for the listeners like what we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah, so because I've read different spiritual teachers, and eventually, first I started with different Eckhart Tolle. Eventually, I found J. Krishnamurti, and then now I've been closely following Osho. So
Mm.
just wanted in this podcast we will cover how they have these different styles or different approaches to how to help their followers become more awake or more awakened in a way. And of course, a lot of them had criticisms about each other. So we would also look at the commonalities they had
Mm.
and also the differences they had. And then the listeners can, ascertain which kind of style fits them. And also of course, everyone has a different personality. So I guess that also plays a factor. So that's
Mm.
what we'll be discussing.
So like Osho and Krishnamurti, their intention was to awaken people. Was that both of their intentions?
A part of it, yes, but um, from what I understand more clearly about um, Osho, I can say he was so you have Orthodox Christianity, and you would say someone is unorthodox or someone is anti-orthodox. So he just wanted to be unorthodox religion. He was not for any religion. He said you don't need any religion. So his
Yeah.
more goal was the religion is doing a lot of harm to the world. So he's I'm gonna stand for something which is not any religion, but he
Yeah.
didn't particularly subscribe to any ism, any he didn't say that this is my philosophy or this is my religion, but actually his followers kind of made him into this Bhagwan or God, you would say. They started
Yeah.
calling him that,
Yeah.
which was strange because he didn't want to do that in the beginning.
Wait, so
But I guess so.
who started to call him Bhagwan? Was it the Indian followers back in India or the white people in America?
I guess the people in America,
Oh,
because
really? I wonder
I
how they
think
even
so.
learned that word.
Yeah, but it could probably be some Indian followers could have learned from them. But so the recordings where I saw people call him Bhagwan was the recording in
Yeah,
Oregon,
yeah.
in the US, right?
Dear Bhagwan.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
which
awesome.
was because in India he gave talks in Hindi, so
Mm.
we have other words for that, but yeah. I don't know earlier, if maybe somebody did call him in Hindi Bhagwan, but
Mm.
yeah.
And even his name Osho, that was That name was
That's not his
created,
real name.
right?
Yeah, that's not
Like
his real name. His
like
real name is Rajneesh.
that label Osho was created after he was deported from the US, right?
Yeah, before people used to call him Rajneesh. But I think this name was somehow somewhere floating around.
Mm,
Some people say before, some people say after. But I think it became more prominent when he was deported, yeah, I guess.
mm, cool. So do you want to look at the differences first or the similarities?
Cool. So let's go with similarities first. Okay.
Similarities, okay. Okay. Let's go to just even the most basic. They're both from India.
Yeah, but I think the one difference is like both were from India, but Osho was raised in India for a long time.
Mm.
And but I think Krishnamurti moved or he was adopted. He was born in the UK, right?
I'm not sure. I thought he was found by some white British people that visited India, and they're always looking for like things relevant to the occult or something, or what they thought was awakening. And then I think they adopted him as a kid with his brother. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but I think Osho lived a longer time in India, I guess. And yeah, so one of the first things which I saw was like common between both of them is they they stood for freedom from conditioning and very strongly. Both of them were like extremely vocal about this, that they felt that society and especially religion uh, is an obstacle because it actually conditions a lot of people to be very, you said, non-receptive to anything else, and also societal programming. It's not really, it's kind of like a big obstacle to conditioning. I don't know. You have read Krishnamurti more, so maybe you can explain more about that.
Yeah, he's pretty much like suggesting to drop all concepts that we are taught. Yeah, so pretty much, yeah, like letting go of conditioning.
Yeah. So that's one commonality I thought. And I think that's why Osho has like deep respect for Krishnamurti, because he was like one of the first ones who was like very bold enough to speak openly about it. I think it started before him speaking openly against the programming.
Mm-mm.
And the second, I have my notes here. So second one is rejection of organized religion. So
Mm-mm.
both of them criticize religious institutions like heavily, and like they felt the religious institutions were divisive, and they it kind of missed the point, distracted people, made people hate each other, made people um, more divided than bringing
Mm-mm.
it together. Even if you belong to the same religion, even within that, you had like you have
It was
Catholic,
like it was
Protestant,
like separate
Hindu versus
branches, right?
Jain. Yeah,
Different
you have
schools of thought.
Shia Muslim or Sunni Muslims. Like even within the same umbrella of religion, you have so like even in Buddhism, you have so many branches.
That's true.
So it was causing more problems than solving more problems. And
Mm-hmm.
they both felt like in this modern world, where we have answers to a lot of questions, we don't really need religion. That was one of their key standing points, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, before we would say, oh, the moon, when you have solar eclipse, they said there was a planet which was covering the sun, right? So in the Hindu tradition or in some of the gurus would teach there was a Rahu, which was like a planet, a dark planet which would cover the sun. But eventually we figured out it's actually the moon, and it's Earth's shadow on the moon. It's
Mm-hmm.
Earth's, it's like or it's a moon shadow on the Earth. It's not even a planet. So yeah, so that was their common thing. I guess Krishnamurti was also sim on the similar thing. He also criticized a lot of religion.
Yeah, he wanted to drop all concepts and he would consider religion as a concept too. Um, so like I'm kind of curious, like so in the conversation between Krishnamurti and David Bohm, the first question that they start with is w- so what has been humanity's wrong turn? Like if the world is at war and people are fighting each other and killing each other, like exactly where is like that fundamental miscalculation that humans have made?
Yeah, that's a very interesting point.
And I
Did they come to a conclusion? I listened to a lot of
yeah,
it, but I
yeah, they did. So I wonder like would Osho be interested in having that conversation or would he ignore it?
well, there was a time when a follower of both of them tried to, when they were in Mumbai, which is Bombay, that time was Bombay.
Mm.
He tried to arrange a meeting between Osho and Krishnamurti. I don't know if you know about this story.
No.
So they tried to arrange this meeting, and Osho said that I don't have any questions, but Krishnamurti is welcome to uh, come to me.
Cool.
But then I guess uh, it somehow fell off. Maybe it's said by Osho's follower that Krishnamurti was offended that Osho said that he doesn't have any questions or
Really?
something like that. I don't know
How
what's
would
the
they
truth
know he was offended?
because he didn't come. That's what they said because he invited him, but it felt like it would have been better if they went to a third place, which was neutral, where both of them should have gone.
Um, wait, yeah,
So
who was inviting who?
so there was a follower which was kind of a follower of both of them. So
Yeah.
he was arranging both of them to meet. He said, "It wouldn't it be great if both of these teachers uh, meet?" But Osho said, you know, he gave a story of in India in the I think I don't know which century. There was another philosopher, Kabir, and another one, can't remember their name. They both met, they were both enlightened people, and they did not speak to each other at all. And all the followers were there, and they were like, are they going to speak? Are they going to speak? Are they going? They didn't speak at all, just acknowledged each other and just were there. They didn't say anything, and then they left. And then later their followers were like, why didn't you speak to each other? And
But the
Osho
followers
shares the
want to show,
story.
they want they want to be entertained.
Yeah, he was like, I saw an enlightened person and I acknowledge it. There's nothing for us to discuss.
Mm-mm-mm.
We know, we know what it is. I think in one of his lectures, he mentions that, if he probably met him, he wouldn't have any questions. That's what he said. Osho said, I don't have any questions for him. I only have answers. So if he wants to, and sometimes Osho is like very direct in it, the way he speaks. So it
Uh,
might have,
yeah,
either offended his manager or he says somebody got offended along that way so the meeting never happened but that's
maybe
fine. I
somebody
don't know what the truth is, but
like
from
if
Osho's lectures he says that this is what happened.
uh, like if Krishnamurti was really as awakened as he was saying, then he wouldn't have been offended. But maybe somebody in his team got offended is possible. But then also maybe they both felt like, what's the point?
Yeah, I think they both felt they didn't want to. So the guy who was organizing it, he said to Krishnamurti, Osho wants to meet. And he went to Osho and he said, Krishnamurti
Wow.
wants
Okay,
to.
he's playing
So he was
games.
lying to both of them because they didn't want.
You can't
So,
trick those
oh,
guys, man.
yeah. And Osho said, don't lie to me. Does he really want to meet me? He's like, no, but I told him that you want to meet him. He's like, no, but he can come. So it was actually kind of a mess. But
Mm,
then I guess then when Krishnamurti maybe or his team, somebody from his team felt that, they were being lied to, so they didn't
mm.
meet. But I
Which,
guess they felt like, what is the point?
yeah, yeah,
Because they have their own messages, and at the end of the day, kind of pointing to the same thing. But
yeah,
it
yeah.
might have been interesting talk um, if they had a good intermediator, like someone in the middle who could
Yeah, that would have been cool.
that would
Dude,
have.
you just reminded me there is a video recorded conversation of Thich Nhat Hanh and Ram Dass. It's such a
Oh,
good
nice.
conversation, dude. Oh my God. I think you would like it.
Yeah, check it out.
And they're
Yeah.
actually
So
interested in talking to each other, not like not like Osho and Krishnamurti, like, no.
Osho did have a big ego, and he acknowledged it too. Like he had a big ego, so sometimes he would take offense, but his thing was like live totally in the present moment, and then whatever comes, and then you deal with it. That was his style. So sometimes he would be very explosive in his style.
It's
Um,
like if his ego is so big, like what does awakening mean for Osho?
he didn't. He said that spirituality should be part of your life. He didn't say that you should reach moksha or enlightenment. Like you could reach that,
But what is
but he's
spirituality for him? What does it even mean?
it's very hard to describe it. I'll try my best. So from what I learned, he was talking about becoming just more aware of who we are, like just bringing more self-inquiry and awareness to yourself. I guess that was the core message which were both of them were trying to say.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
because like for example, if you he had like because we were moving to a very scientific kind of a world, a lot of breakthroughs happened in the 60s, 70s, and during that time, 80s, a lot of scientific progress. So then a lot of people became very anti-religion, and at the same time, they became very anti-spirituality. But some of the people who became very much into the science or in this world, they realized, there are some things which science cannot explain, or there are some things which science cannot give us, like who we are really and the self-inquiry aspect. And Osho realized that there was this gap, and he said that this self-inquiry and awareness usually was taught through a religion. Like religion was a medium to give us this, self-inquiry and awareness. But he realized that a lot of people are already rejecting religion. So there must be a different way of giving them this taste of self-inquiry and awareness. And he said that then you go on their journey. So his goal was to just help people go a little bit more deeper in this journey, and then they can make their own decision that they want to
Mm-mm.
pursue enlightenment or what they want to do. But he said that spirituality should be. He was not in like he was not fond of like people saying, "Oh, just go to the Himalayas and meditate all day," or go to 5 Vipassana camps, one back to back. He said, "You've done with one Vipassana camp is enough. The only thing then you have to do is meditate for an hour a day." He had a bunch of techniques. So use any of his technique, meditate for an hour a day. 1 hour is enough, and then you go and live your life. He didn't believe in like total, like full all-time immersion. He said, yeah, you can have a small period of immersion, maybe a week or a month, and then you go and live your life. Make spirituality a part of your life. So
Mm.
that was his more goal. So, and he was like, but naturally it might happen that you might be led to pursue more, like you might be led to pursue enlightenment. Maybe you will find um, no more meaning in getting that promotion or making that money or whatever. It will happen naturally, but it
Mm.
shouldn't be something that you should suppress when you start out. So
Mm.
that was his kind of his goal. But he did acknowledge that a lot of people he felt were enlightened. He felt like Buddha was enlightened, or Krishnamurti was enlightened to a level. He felt like yeah, Ramdas and others, like he felt some of the teachers were pretty enlightened in a way. But I'm not sure what exactly he was like
Did he feel
saying
that
that
he
he
was the
meant by.
most enlightened?
No, he but sometimes he's not serious. Like sometimes he's joking, and whenever people ask him that, he will always turn it into a joke. And people will say, you're too funny." He's like, "Yeah, I'm absolutely funny. That's what I am." And like he would like go along with it, but he never kind of tried to label himself as enlightened. I think he tried to, uh, you know, for example, if I've seen Tony Robbins do it, right? Tony Robbins is a coach, but he's like a motivational speaker as well. But whenever people call him motivational speaker, it's like, I'm not a motivational speaker. You know what? That's not what I do. I coach people,
Mm,
right?
mm,
It's
mm,
always like that. There's a deflection around that. So when people said, "Oh, are you enlightened?" Are you? He would always deflect. He'd never answer.
mm,
I heard so many of his lectures. He would never answer. Um, but he did acknowledge that he felt he was like a guide, like showing people the path. But when you're a guide, it doesn't mean you have to be the best in the field.
mm.
You just have to be better than most. And that's kind of like when you're teaching soccer, if you're teaching to very young people, you just need to be like a couple of levels ahead of them. Like I
Mm.
can easily train like 9 to 15 years old, but then people get when they get to semi-professional, professional, probably I don't have any, I don't have that level of training to train them, I guess. That was his kind of one of you. But you need to understand that like a lot of his followers did think of him as enlightened.
Sure. Oh,
You know,
yeah. They love
even though
him.
I like Osho, his very core followers are very cult-like. They would not let me criticize him or anything. It's very hard to. But nowadays, I think that followership has kind of died down. Or maybe he has gotten new followers. But maybe 5 years ago, it was very hard to criticize him, I guess.
That's
within his
odd.
circle. Outside his circle, everyone criticizes him, but within his core circle, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Huh,
I
interesting.
think that happens with everyone. I think if you see any, like if you see Linkin Park, Taylor Swift, the core fans, there are like a subsect of a core
Ah,
fans.
yeah,
They
yeah.
don't like any kind of negative, like even something which is somewhat, you know, okay, but they, so yeah, that's the thing I saw with some of his
This
followers.
is like those people that they get so identified with that person that if you like make a joke about that person, then the fans get offended. It's like Justin Bieber fans or something. Like it sounds like
Yeah,
that now.
yeah, that's yeah, and it was a strange phenomenon. And I think Osho was trying to mm, get them away from that.
Mm-hmm.
He is like, don't make me into a special person. But they did. I think to a level he was special because the way he spoke. But in a way, at the end of the day, we are all humans. So he didn't want him to be exalted to a status of a god.
Mm-hmm.
But he, I think he did enjoy a bit of attention. He did.
Yeah, it seems like it.
From his the way he lived and the way he was, I think he did enjoy a bit of attention. I would be,
Mm-hmm.
I would be disingenuous if I say that he didn't enjoy, but he seemed to be enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I don't know
Yeah.
about Krishnamurti. Like, did he
He
do
wore
that?
like the same clothes every time, just like he looks like a little teddy bear.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah,
just sitting with his hand on his lap, like and
yeah.
like speaking so seriously, like he'll say stuff like you have to pay absolute attention. But he's
Yeah,
like so serious. He's so serious.
that was his style of,
Yeah.
yeah. I think both of them also had this common point of living in the present moment. But this is one slight difference I saw. Osho was more about the present. Like, so when we live in the present moment,
Mm,
it's also about like freedom from the past, right?
mhm.
So Osho was more about being in the present, being totally there. And I get from the talks and the articles I read about Krishnamurti, he was more about freedom from the past. He was more about, okay, let go of the conditioning.
But
And then
freedom from
Osho
the
was,
past
okay,
means that you're present.
yeah. So, but the way of their focus, how would you say, like the way they kind of try to drive their message
Mm,
was, this is what I felt, this is my observation, is like Osho was more about, oh, dance, sing, be in the present moment, live it fully. And a lot of time Krishnamurti was very logical. He's like, oh, the past doesn't make any sense, and then time, there's no concept of time, and like it was more about like being free from. But they were both saying the same thing, kind of living in the present
yeah,
moment. But the way of them delivering the message was very different.
like
I felt it very different. Yeah,
Did Osho expect Krishnamurti to have the same lifestyle and the same activities
absolutely
like
not.
dancing and singing and stuff? Like,
Absolutely not. That's why he said he's the one who's doing these things because he felt people need that. That's why he was like a bit different when it came to that. But
yeah,
this
like
is what I saw, like when they were both talking about living in the present moment. It's like the same, the concept is the same, but the delivery is very different,
yeah.
exceptionally different.
What is the key difference?
For example, when Osho would come, first he would like do this, but a lot of times he would play music and people will dance, sing, and do some crazy things,
Mm,
and then he would give his talk. So there
mm,
was always like a celebration. It was like, and there's some Indian mystics and gurus, they also do that. When they enter, it's like a celebration.
mm,
People used to say when Krishna or Ram entered the room, it was like a celebration first. So they celebrated, they danced, they enjoyed, and then they gave their talk. Krishnamurti was very direct, and I guess he didn't believe in wasting any time at all. But he was more like very direct in his message, and I think a lot of people, he appealed to a certain kind of audience, like who liked going straight to
mm.
the point. Oh, I don't want to dance, I don't want to waste my time, or I don't want to do this. But
Some people just want to see actual reality. That's a
yeah, no, but Osho said this is reality. I'm dancing, we're having fun. This is also reality. This is
right.
not.
And
our
then,
mind is making into this concept, "Oh, I'm wasting time." So at the same time, there's no concept of time. Then a lot of people, like, this is one thing he said, like a lot of people would say, but there's no concept of time, like intellectual people. So I guess,
mm,
okay, you agree that there's no concept. Then why do you have aversion to singing and dancing with me? We are not, there's no time, so we are not wasting time.
yeah, like
So he was
Krishnamurti,
like trying to call out the subtle, the subtle, how would you say, the subtle programming that people were still getting affected. He
mm,
felt like people did move. They did move a little bit more. They became more aware, but there was still something which was blocking them, and he was trying to get past the rational mind
mm,
because he felt initially he tried because he was like a professor thing, and he was a professor for a while in a university and stuff, and he realized that intellectual discourse can only go this far. After that,
mm,
there must be a different way of delivering the message. So I guess
mm.
that was the thing.
I feel like
Yeah, but
Krishnamurti, he was like trying to get straight to the point because like it felt like he was so annoyed at the state of the world, especially wars, and he would want it
mm,
to end now. And he wants to get to the
yeah,
point right now. And he's like, you can't see this. Like, why are you fighting? You can't see this fact that makes your fighting look stupid.
and I totally understand that sentiment. Like he wanted to like stop it right away. But this is the kind of like point of contention Osho had with like other spiritual, not just him, with other spiritual teachers too, and some people who speak, like even some philosophers. He kind of had this problem. He was like, not everything in life is logical, right? A lot of times, if you try to, for example, people smoke, and you tell, you smoke, it's bad for your health. The smoker will be like, yeah, I should stop, but they keep smoking. Logically, they know that they should stop. It's gonna kill them. It's gonna affect their kids. It's gonna affect their wife or girlfriend, whoever. It gives you temporary relaxation, but he said you cannot speak to the head. You have to speak to their heart. So if you are able to get to their heart, then you go past this logical mind. So he was like, if I move him emotionally, right? So I'll give this an example. Like another mentor I follow, he and his wife, they went to get a life insurance policy. And his wife used to smoke all the time. He said, baby, you should stop, blah, 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 many times. Nothing happened. So they got life insurance policy. And this was, I think, in 90s. And it was like $300 per year for the man. And they did all the tests. And she was also healthy. She didn't have any issues. But then they found out that she smokes. And her was almost five times, $1,500 or $2,000. And she was like, why is my, what you saw called premium so high? It's like, because you smoke. And that's when like reality really hit her. And she was like, because you smoke, it's also going to affect you. And eventually you will not be there. Your kids will also suffer and blah, blah. So then it really hit her emotionally. Before that, many people told her logically, you should stop smoking, blah, blah, blah. And the next day she stopped smoking.
Hmm. True.
Because when she saw that premium, it really dawned on her. It went past her logical mind into her heart, and it's like, oh shit, this thing is like real. And
She needed
like,
something to like make it more clear for
yeah,
her.
like shake them up. Like that's what
Yeah.
Osho was like. I'm here to shake you up.
Mm,
So I was like trying to shake you up. So that's what he and I think I personally also like that way of like when people sometimes shake you up, they're like, oh crap. But when that happened, he realized that, when he was giving lectures and all that, he couldn't reach some of the people to their heart. Then he understood that, there are different ways. There's humor, there's, music, there's other ways, the way of speech. There are other ways of, you know, getting the message across without just being logical.
mm,
Right? So that was his, I think that was one of his primary way of being.
mm. Yeah, it sounds like they were both just being themselves, and that's how it looked. One is a teddy
Yeah,
bear, and one is like a dancing guy.
yeah. But Osho was not like that before.
Oh, really?
Like when he started, he wasn't like that. It was through, I guess, experience he kind of evolved into this. Um, if you hear his very old lectures, he would rarely joke. He was more very, very serious. The one in Hindi, like in his mother tongue,
Mm,
he's from the same state as I am, so kind of
cool.
speak the same language. I understand everything he says. But he was way more serious in the beginning, like the way he delivered, very to the point, a lot of criticism. And then over time, he became more and more funny and more humor. And I
Mm,
guess he realized something. Maybe he felt, and it's like sometimes people say, okay, this is who I am, but are you really that? I always say, oh, this is who I am. I'm like, are you sure? Are you really that?
mm,
Because, for example, I'll give you this, right? There was this girl I knew, and she had a very good job she was a radiologist or something. I can't remember something in this medical field in Australia, right? And then she moved into coaching. She became a coach, and she started speaking on camera, and everyone was like, "Wow, I didn't like when you were doing radiology. I felt like you were very reserved. You didn't want to speak, but I see you on camera making reels and talking so freely. You go on stage, you feel so confident."
mm,
And she's like, I've dropped one layer of the onion.
mm.
So all this time she had this, oh, I'm a radiologist. This is how I should be. I should be proper. I should be this, that, this. So she was like, I wasn't myself fully. I couldn't
Mm,
be myself fully in that role. So when I changed it was like this pressure lifted off me. It was like this layer of onion peeled off of me, or,
mm.
a bunch of conditioning dropped, and I
Yeah.
became more of myself. When people say just be yourself, are you really sure? It's like
Mm,
sometimes when you drop like a certain layer, and then you feel, oh, I didn't even realize there was this layer. Oh, like,
mm,
oh, so that kind of thing. So I think it's like a process, but there are very few people who know exactly to a very core, like they come up with the least amount of layers of onion, I would say. When they come to earth, they have the least amount of onion layers, so they all kind of stay very safe. But a lot of us come, and then we have this conditioning, and we put layers on it. And so for example, I would say, like when I studied Hindi, and we would do poems, and like, read stories, our teacher was okay with like being expressive vocally, but she didn't like acting, or like when you do like play, she didn't enjoy that.
mm,
So in our Hindi class, a lot of us were very serious, like, or we pretended to be serious because she didn't like that aspect. But our English teacher she was like fun and excited, and she was like always was like, oh, come on, be angry, like show me the emotion. Like she was like making us play it full out. And you would see the same kids in the Hindi class acting totally different in the
mm,
English class. I was like, just 45 minutes ago, you were all this serious, and now you're just acting like a crazy person, and you're really getting into that character. And so I was like, wow. So like just that presence of that person can also unlock something in you. So
mm,
that I saw it as a very young kid. I was like, just was just blowing my mind, because people were like, oh, he's just born shy, or he's just born like that, or he's very athletic, or he's quiet, she's very talkative. They would give these labels, but
mm,
under a presence of another human, usually it's an older human, the kids would behave differently. And like as we both also taught, so we also know, like when we come in, and we come in as very serious, the kids behave differently. And when we come in as very joy, light, fun, they behave more fun. Like so,
mm.
it's kind of, I also see it's like sometimes it's like a mirror thing happening, and it happens so quickly, like it happens in seconds, like so fast. I don't know if you've ever felt that, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel, especially like when I'm well rested at work, then I feel like we have a really good exchange of energy with me and the students. But if I'm like too sleepy and I didn't get a good night's rest, I can see that they also get sleepy.
Yeah, and it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
And so like when somebody becomes very non-judgmental, like a lot of people tell me, oh, around you I feel very free, like because I have tried very hard to like drop the judgments. Like before long time, I used to have a lot of judgments in my head. Oh, this person is like this, or they're from England, or they're from Africa, they're like this, or they're from this religion or this culture, this like so many labels, and our society teaches us these labels, right? A lot of times we get these labels, oh, people are like this and that and blah blah blah. Even though everyone is an individual human. So I try my best to, when I meet someone, is like just let go of the judgment, just let it go. Eventually these judgments will creep up. It's like we are human, we have a brain, so our brain would be trying to make these decisions because brain doesn't want to get overwhelmed, so it will try to, we have these boxes in our head, many boxes from a psychological point of view. So when see somebody from, let's say somebody from Australia, and they're very drunk, you would say, oh, all drunk Australians behave this way, and you will instantly put them in a box. That's what your brain will try to do instantly. But I met very nice Australians who would drink, but they were very pleasant, nice to talk to. So I was like, it's not always true, but our brain will try its best to like throw all these judgments. And so when I meet people, I try to drop the judgments. I try to be as non-judgmental as possible. And it's very hard to do it. Sometimes these judgments will creep up, but then the other person can feel it. It's not something which is spoken. It's kind of something which is felt. And a lot of teachers say, oh, teacher, you're so friendly. And they'll give me a hug or something. They will say, oh, we're so happy around you. But it's not that I'm doing something different. Sometimes I'm also strict with them, but it's just the kind of like, for example, like I was raised a vegetarian as a kid. Like, for many years, I only ate vegetarian food. A lot of people who were raised around me, they can't even sit on the same table where people are eating non-vegetarian food. I'm not religious at all. I eat all kinds of food, but most of the time I'm a veg. Right? But I've kind of like stopped judging people who eat meat. Right? It doesn't. Sometimes I also eat seafood and chicken and whatnot. I would eat it. It's not that. And eventually, I realized it's not the thing which people do. It's even Krishnamurti talked about it. It's not about whether you eat meat or not eat meat. It's what you do the other time. Like who you are being is more important than what you're doing. But it was initially a process to drop these judgments. And once we drop this, we become more aware. So that's the kind of the message they were sharing. And this exchange happens very quickly, like especially with the kids, it's like so fast. They can sense this so quickly. They can sense your mood, your how you're feeling, everything. Like it's so quick, like within seconds.
That's true.
And I guess the last commonality they had was like individual responsibility. You would say both were like, okay, I'm showing you this path, but you must discover the truth for yourself. And a lot of people say, but Osho, what is the truth? Or Krishnamurti, but what do you mean by, being more self-aware? He said, I can show you one level of it, but you are the one who has to go deeper. So I'm just shining a light on it, but you are the one who has to go deeper. So both insisted that you must discover it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I guess Buddha also was very much like that. He was like, you must discover it. You must question me. You must question my religion. So that's one really amazing thing about Gautam Buddha, you would say, was like he invited the challenge. And in other religions and other like these cultural movements, questioning is not really looked greatly favorably upon. Nobody would say that you cannot ask me a question. They wouldn't say that. But I guess among these people, they had this was like, we welcome all the questions. They might not be able to answer it. Sometimes they deflect it, but they always welcomed it. But they said, the point that you are asking me these questions, that means you are trying to discover the truth for yourself. That means you're going deeper. Like even when we study something, right? If you just passively study science, or like when I remember I was in grade 5, and the teacher when I had in grade 6, and she was like, you must ask me questions. Why are you guys so quiet? Like she would get like suddenly she'd get mad. She's like, if you're not asking me questions, that means it's not getting in your brain. So asking questions is like becoming more, discovering the truth. Like now I'm asking you about Krishnamurti, you're asking me about Osho, and we're also like discussing these things. It's kind of driving the message little bit deeper, making us more open to what we could see.
Man, that's all I want, bro. I just want truth. I don't know. Like that is my top priority, honestly, in my life.
Hmm. Cool. Did you f find anything else like with similarity between these guys?
I mean, they're both pointing at the same thing. They're just that speaking from their own perspective, but it's the same thing. Yeah, and there's others like them too. There's so many other teachers that are pointing at the same thing in their own original way. So
Yeah,
it's really
I
cool
took
to
this.
see those like really key similarities between them.
Yeah, I just saw this very nice comment on Reddit. I took a snap of it. So he said like they're like two sides of the same coin, pointing to the identical truths through opposite doors. Krishnamurti used
Okay.
intellect, analytical path, while Osho used emotional,
Yeah, yeah.
celebratory path. And
Mm-mm.
your personal preferences for Osho's approach, such as that, my personal preference is that I naturally resonate more with like heart-centered, kind of this celebration kind of
Mm.
approach.
Yeah. I feel like they both Osho and Krishnamurti would have benefited from hanging out with each other to learn about each other's styles. That would have been so cool to see a little teddy bear
Yeah,
person, a little
yeah.
Krishnamurti, dude.
It would have been interesting, or it could have happened that they wouldn't have nothing to talk about
They could just,
because they would be,
I wish they would just chill out and like play some board games or something. Just do something.
yeah, that would have been actually more fun.
That would
They
have been
did some
cool.
kind of activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play
And we don't have
tic-tac-toe.
too
I don't
much
know,
time,
fucking
but
something.
yeah, I would just like lightly touch upon some of the key differences because this is what I felt as well. Like, I mean, this is what Osho said. Like, you can also tell me, like, because you would have your own way of looking at it.
Mm.
So he made the statement, and you can disagree with. So Osho said, like, I am more about. Um, so he said, like he felt like Krishnamurti's message was die to the past. And he kept repeating this message, right? Die to the past. It kind of felt that he hasn't himself died to the past. There was still a part of the past which was controlling him all the time. So he said that,
Mm.
the traumatic conditioning he had as in that theosophical society, it was still had an impact on him.
It's true because he
And
did have an affair with his friend's wife, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, so he was just saying that, and no means Osho was perfect. Osho also had his shortcomings, but he said his teaching was not more about rebelling. His teachings are like kind of a rebellion in a way. Like is the so you have like unorthodox and you have anti-orthodox, right? So he felt like Krishnamurti was very anti-orthodox, like anti like whatever religion and anti-conditioning,
Mm-mm.
and Osho was like, I'm very unorthodox. I'm very different from all the conditioning. But they both kind of attacked the old orthodoxy. But
Oh.
Osho felt like when I have this anger and hate, I express this, but I try to move more towards joy and quickly and love as quickly as possible. That was his
Mm.
way of saying.
So is that like Krishnamurti was saying like drop all conditioning, and Osho is saying like enjoy your conditioning, but drop the ones that are stupid. Like I don't know.
No, no. So he was like, analyze every condition. Like, look at it, why the conditioning is there. Like, look at your religious condition, look at your cultural conditioning. Why is it there? But don't get caught up in hating it. Like, after a point, you have to realize, okay, hate can only go so far. So I just leave that place. I analyze it. I left that place and I moved on.
Mm-hmm.
As sometimes it happens in a relationship, you break up and then you're like, oh, now first you kind of like speak a bit negative about that person. He did this, he did this, blah, blah, blah. After you're like, you know what? There's no point in this. This is just better to move on. Just move
Mm.
towards a new person, right? Where's the point of hating it? It's in the past now. Especially if you've analyzed it, kind of dropped it.
Mm.
But it was his way of feeling. And another thing he felt, which is like, I think I kind of sort of disagree with Osho. This is like he felt like in modern world, charisma is very important to deliver a message.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if you see
true.
all the
Ask
influencers
ask
and
the
followers,
politicians.
yeah. So he felt like you have to be charismatic, and he said Krishnamurti lacked that. So he was able to touch people's intellect and not the heart because he lacked that charisma. I felt he had a certain kind of vibe to him. He was not totally without charisma. I felt Krishnamurti had something, but of course he was nowhere like the modern teachers you see. And he said a true master will capture your heart before the intellect notices. A lot of people say when they met Buddha, they were like just moved by his presence before he even spoke. Like that was the charisma. Like, but I don't know if it's something that you learn or you're born with, or I know some aspects of it you can learn. But he felt like Krishnamurti had no charisma, but I felt he had some, but not as much as Osho.
He's just a a chill old man.
But he said even when he was young, he was not like that. That's what
Oh,
his
really?
point of contention
It
was.
looks pretty like
It was
formal, right? In the clothing, like a full.
very formal, and he felt like maybe Osho felt like his past conditioning it was still shaping him in a way.
Mm,
Yeah, so he felt like um Osho attracted like a lot of like Osho felt like Krishnamurti worked incredibly hard, much more harder than him. He was much more, he wanted to make the change quicker, faster. He was more dedicated than him. But he only attracted like 3,000 people in Bombay for his talk. When Osho would go there, like there would be like 30,000 people trying to go in, like very small numbers. Like, so he felt like that's where he was attracting intellectuals, and he felt like a lot of people were still following him for many, many years, but they were not having this change. But whereas some people would go to Osho's thing, and within a week they would feel different and they will start acting different, and their friends would say you have changed or something's happened. But both of their legacies after that are still continuing, right? They're still followers of Krishnamurti. So I kind of partially disagree with Osho on this, but I felt that Krishnamurti could have had a bigger impact, and Osho also felt that like he could have been like the biggest teacher of at least non-duality, or you would say in this space.
mm.
But for whatever reason, he kind of Osho said he was holding himself back. That's the equivalent there.
I mean, yeah, I guess
But
if Krishnamurti puts on a show and puts on a little sombrero and starts dancing and shit, and maybe he'll attract. No, he would attract more people for sure. That'd be great for social media too.
yeah, but that's his point. I don't know. I think Krishnamurti was just that way. So
Yeah, he's just an old man just sitting on a
yeah,
chair.
yeah.
Just spitting some
So
truth.
uh, he said that another point of the contention they had is he said like Osho was also haunted by his past a lot of times. Uh, so, but he said the trauma which Krishnamurti went through was still affecting him.
Mm,
Um, so like even to his old age, he was very much um like he felt like Krishnamurti was still talking about dying to the past. A lot like his real obsession was because of his inability to do so completely. I mean, he was able to die to a lot of aspect of the past, but the trauma he felt, he was still carrying with him.
mm,
And he felt because of this trauma, it's being carried within. Um, a lot of people could sense it, and they somehow felt disconnected. Um, and Osho was like, I also had traumas, but I kind of like faced them instead of trying to run away with them or trying to intellectually fight them. Like I
uh,
met them head on.
mm,
So that was his thing, and he felt like if Krishnamurti did that, it would change him more. And that
mm.
was his, yeah. I don't know if you
Cool.
disagree with it, but I would like to know
I mean,
more.
that's his
Yeah,
opinion, and there is some truth to it. But like now, this makes me interested. Like there are, like I love Jay Krishnamurti so much, but I know there are other teachers who have been more awakened than him, who have actually dropped all their traumas and didn't have any addictions. It would be cool to discuss them in a future episode.
yeah, I feel Rupert Spira is one of them. I don't know. I connect to him a lot. And
Mm.
he's very different than Osho is not. He makes the occasional jokes, but he's quite different. Yeah. But like the main thing I would say is like Osho was like, you have the brain, which is the watchman, right? I think when he was a professor, he understood this. He was like, if you can't get past this watchman, the brain, the message never goes deep. It so he said to go past this watchman, I have to go to the heart. So when the heart is
Oh,
captured, the intellect must follow, and the transformation really happens in the heart, not in the head.
mm,
And he said intellectual conversations, and he had a massive respect for Krishnamurti, but he felt like a lot of these intellectual conversations cannot get past the watchman. Like you get the concept intellectually, but never experientially. And
mm.
he felt that because of this, a lot of J. Krishnamurti's followers understood the concept, but they did not transform.
And most of
Like
them
that
don't
was his
even
main
know
criticism.
really what he's talking about either. There's also that. They're just like they're just like sitting there trying to understand what the hell he's saying.
Yeah, sometimes even though my English is pretty good, sometimes even I had like he would sometimes use fancy words, and I was like, I don't think a normal person will understand what you mean.
Ah, yeah.
But yeah, but I understood like what he was trying to say, and he was very eloquent speaker. I think he was like one of the best speakers I know. Really amazing thing.
Yeah, for anyone
Um,
listening, I would highly recommend the book Ending of Time, which is the transcript
yeah,
of
I
the
listened to
dialogue.
like you mentioned that I heard like two of it's like a series of talks. So I
Yeah.
only got through like two of them, and they're really long, a lot of them.
Yeah,
So I
I
would try
read
to
that
listen
like
to all of
I
them.
read that whole book every couple of months, maybe every 4 or 5 months. And it feels different every time. It's like I'm reading a new book every time. It's so weird.
Yeah, because we also evolve. Like even some books I read 10 years ago, or like they're still on my shelf, I reread them and I'm like, oh shit, this didn't make sense before, but it does now because I am a different person.
Yeah, it's like, how did I miss this
Um,
before? It's like I'm reading this book for like the fourth, fifth time, and this thing I'm reading feels completely new to me. I'm like, what the hell? Did I miss it last
yeah,
time?
because it's like you have dropped some layers of your own onion. Like the layers of your onion have dropped. So like you are now a new onion. So the way things get absorbed is totally different. Right. So that's when people say I'm just being myself, I always question that. I say, are you? Are you really being yourself? Because we have different selves too. But that's something thing. Um, yeah. So, but one thing I found um, very interesting is that um, Osho was like, I was raised a Jain, and he had this experience. He had this very interesting story where he was like raised a Jain, and Jain people don't eat out after sunset, right? So he went with his friends, and they kind of forced him to eat food, and it's the same food, but he just vomited nonstop the whole night until every piece of it came out, and he was like, "That's the power of conditioning." So he broke out of this Jain conditioning, and which was very traumatic for him at that time. But he realized it was mostly in his head, not really yeah. So then he realized, I have to resolve these past issues, and that kind of he moved more towards love, joy, experience, and
Cool.
that's the thing. So,
Nice.
well, it was a great chat,
Awesome,
and
man.
yeah,
We'll
awesome, man.
do
Like,
one
we
more
can
like,
discuss.
for sure with some new teachers, whatever, like
Yeah, yeah,
taking down
very
Han
interesting to see.
versus Justin Bieber.
UG Krishnamurti was an opposite
Oh
of
man, yeah, that
Sri
guy.
Krishnamurti. That would be interesting too.
Yeah, we could do that. All right,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I'll see you later, bro. Take care.
Okay. See you. Take care.